How you doing? Oh, I got something, I don't know, something I find interesting today. Something I just picked up. I'm going to show it to you. But I thought I'd show you this here first. This is me spending money that I don't like to spend. Are you guys like that? You don't like to spend money on yourself, right? I had to do it, so let me show you what I got. Yeah, I had to buy a new pair of boots. These are Timberland Pro. I've never owned a pair of these boots, so we're gonna try them out. I usually go through a pair of boots a year on average, so we'll see how these hold up. I got mink oil here. That's what I use. I'm gonna treat it with mink oil before I take them in, and then we'll start wearing them in, breaking them in. I'll probably wear them for about 2 weekends before I start wearing them at work. It'll help make them a little better. I'm gonna get rid of those laces too. Yeah, I can't stand them. So let me show you what I use. So this is my shoelace material. It's paracord. You can buy 100 feet of it for like $4. So, it makes great shoelaces, and I'm going to be putting them on there. Make them nice and long, But, yeah, a little bit about my boots. I hate buying boots. I absolutely hate it. My boots that just wore out, I blew the whole side from like here to here. The whole side just split apart on me all at once. My freaking foot was falling out, stepping in the mud. I think I wore them just a little too long. So I had to stop and get a pair today. What do you say we get into something I think's a little cooler? I think you guys might like this. All right. How many of you guys know what that is? Do you know? I'll give you a second. If you need to guess, look at the top. This is going to be my new fire pit. She's made out of cast, and it is turn of the century. Typically gets buried in the ground all the way up to here. If you figured it out, this is the last little bit in the ground, and this is where the manhole lid sits. So this is the last little bit. This is the very top where the manhole goes. Now this is an old one. Typically they're made out of concrete now, so you don't see them like this. And I don't think this one wasn't used for sewer. This one was used for water, actually. It was over top of what they call a layover valve. Now, if you're not familiar with what a layover valve is, like imagine your water line, and you got a valve on it, and you got your valve sticking up, and you got a nut on the top, and then we got a key that goes down to turn the valve, right? Well, whenever your water line gets to be like so big, like say 24 inches around, the valve has to lay on its side. Otherwise it would be so tall it'd be sticking up out of the ground. It's just that big. So it's a layover valve. The valve sits on its side, and then there's gears at the end to change the gearing of it, so that you can run a key straight down to it, hit a nut, and then the gears turn to turn the valve that's going this way. And this sits over top of the layover valve so you can put the key on it. This is how they did it way back in the day. And the new layover valves don't require this. See, the old ones, all those gears were exposed. You could see them. And the reason they need replaced now is because they're so old, everything's rotted up. So the new ones, everything is contained, so you don't need such a big contraption. You can actually just run a little like 8-inch pipe down for the key to hit the nut. So these get pulled out every now and again. And I got one for my new fire pit. I'll have to do some stuff to help it breathe. Probably put a couple little pieces of pipe around the bottom underneath, you know, to keep air to it. And some of the guys actually take them and turn them upside down. But I don't think I am. I think I'm gonna leave it like this configuration, because it would really focus the heat in to this area, and I think it'd be great for cooking on, you know? Make a nice little rack on top of it for cooking. Yeah. Tell me what you think. All right, I got interrupted there, so let me see if I can pick this up. Can you see this little divot in the ground right here? That's what's left of the old peach tree. Okay. There's where our firewood, or our burn pile was. But our firewood, or I should say our burn, like when we hung around the fire, it used to be, I think, right about here. And I think over time, the fire just kind of kept creeping further and further and further up the hill. You know what I mean? And I think that has to do with the fact that, you know, we're up a hill, and the flames tend to want to travel that way, up a hill. And I'm thinking over the course of 30 years or whatever, it kind of creeped up. So I got to think of where I want to put that fire ring. Now, do I want it out here? I got a picnic table here. Do I want to set things up with the picnic table and the fire ring right here? Or do I want it somewhere else? And the more I think about it, I think I'm going to keep it here. Yeah. I think I'm going to set it up, but I'm going to set it up down here a little lower and just let that, you know, grow up in grass. Like, you know, the peach tree I was telling you about, this is maple tree number 2. Us as kids, we killed the first one. Just say hatchets and axes, do a number to a tree when you're a kid. You know what I mean? But can you see the divot in the ground? That's where the first one sat. She's been rotten at the stump and just slowly sinking. So this is maple tree number 2. But anyway, yeah, I gotta figure out how to get that in there, because that thing is heavy. Now, before I put that fire ring in there, I'm thinking it might be smart to take some of this pipe and set it up where the fire ring kind of sits on pipe, and the pipe will be cut in like 1-foot sections, and that way it can draw air from the outside underneath into the fire. Which pipe to use? Probably the smallest one. It's the thickest wall pipe there, so that's probably the one I'll use. You know what I mean? And it's long. It runs from here all the way up through them weeds, so it's pretty long. This one here, that's gonna be my flue pipe for here at the shop. I'm basically just gonna cut enough off and make a T. Then, I don't know, that'll be the flue pipe. I'll put it up on like a stand to hold it here and then send it up. But yeah, that's our shop flue pipe. This is gonna be a big old 6-inch pipe. No updates on the chicken coop yet, but today is the end of the day, Friday, so, you know, we'll be getting onto that some more this weekend. Might get her done. We'll see. I don't know if I have enough metal to do the roof yet. I'll figure that out later. So now I gotta figure out what to do here to feed this with air, you know? If that gets tight against the ground, she won't breathe. I'll smother the fire. Thought about trying to drill it, but that's every bit of 3/4 to an inch thick. You know? I'd be using a little hand drill. I'm not even gonna try. I'm thinking those pieces of pipe and just set them up to where they're poking out here, and they can, you know, poke out here and draw air. They won't go the whole way across. They'll just go in a couple of inches and stop. And set up, oh, I don't know, maybe 6 of them around in a ring. If I really wanted to get cool with it, I could do something up here, because with the shape of this, if I injected air up here below this ring, I bet you I could get a secondary burn right there and make this thing almost smokeless. Maybe I could try that with a piece of pipe later. Run a piece of pipe around that rim and get a nice fresh air draw. See if we can get a secondary burn out of it. That'd be kind of neat. Make it smokeless, you know what I mean? A smokeless fire pit. I'd have to research it more, figure out if I can actually pull it off, but we'll see. Because having a fire pit that's smokeless would definitely be cool. Now that'll be it for me today. I'll have to keep you updated on how the fire pit goes, or fire ring, or whatever you want to call it. Because I'm hoping to kind of develop this spot into a cool little hangout zone. I'm going to set that fire ring up, and you know, I want to get it set up to where I can actually cook over it, all sorts of stuff. So that's what one of the things that makes it super cool. And it's going to be time. It's going to take time to get everything set up. I have no plans to plant that or to turn that into like a patio of any sort. It is going to be 100% grass. So got to keep that in mind, thinking about seeding and so forth. In fact, seeding is probably going to be nothing more than logs, just firewood, just cut chunks of firewood off and run a circle around it. That's probably all the more we're going to do for seeding there. The table, picnic table, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't think it's going to go here with the fire. That thing is a pain in the butt to try to mow. It is super big, super heavy, and every time you mow, you got to move it. Otherwise, the grass ends up growing up in it. So, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It might end up sitting here in the driveway. I don't know. We'll figure something out, though. Maybe I should just chop a couple of feet off of it, make it a little smaller, and make it more reasonable. You know? Looking at it from here, I could easily do it. Because it's got a set of legs in the center. So I can just figure out how much I want it to go extra over that third set and just cut it, and you know, problem solved. Really, I could chop that thing down in 5 minutes and turn it into a little shorter. You know, I could take 4 feet off of it. But for now, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't want to get rid of it. It's really big, it's really nice, and I want to figure something out. We might end up even putting it in the shop. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Because like my brother, he's planning on moving probably next year. So until he moves, I'm not going to do a whole lot here. He might move this year. We'll see. But it might be next year. His hope is to be done this year, to be moved. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But once he's moved out of here, you know, we got concrete coming, all sorts of stuff. We'll have a whole building all to ourselves, you know. He wants to go to Florida, is what's going on. He's hoping to move to Florida here within a year. And, you know, that should really open up the shop for us, huh? All 3 bays wide. So I don't want to get too permanent with any of what I do. Whatever I do in there, I need to be able to pull it out so I can do the concrete. So that's why you're not seeing me do anything like build big benches and all that stuff to make it nice and super cool. Because whatever I put in there has to come back out in order to do the concrete. And I'm not going to do any of that permanent stuff until after that concrete's in. The walls aren't going to go in. The doors aren't going to go in. It's going to stay like this until the concrete's done. And I don't know when that's going to happen. I was hoping this year, but it looks like it might get delayed for a year, really. So we'll see how it goes. It'll make things interesting trying to work out of there in the winter, I'll tell you. I might end up putting the wood burner in there and get it running and just tarp the thing off to keep me at least somewhat warm in the winter, you know what I mean? So you might see some weird stuff going on there until we can get her walled in. You know, if the wood burner in there cranking with a piece of tarp, she's not going to be warm by any means, but at least I won't be freezing, you know? We'll see how she goes. But anyway, hey, I hope you enjoyed this little one. We got a firing going in, all sorts of cool stuff. So hey, see you on the next one.